Welcome back to Breakfast Central. We're reviewing the front pages of the newspapers now and sharing you what the top stories are. And joining us is public affairs analyst Dotun Ojon. Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Happy Monday to you.
Yes, and Merry Christmas in advance. Are you feeling Christmassy yet?
Responsibility has driven the feelings away. So
my brother.
You just have to.
Don't be saying you talk. You touch everybody. All right, let's see what the front pages of the papers are saying this morning. On the front page of our first paper, the big stories this morning, let's see what the Punch newspaper. Stampede deaths. States list tough conditions for palliative distribution. Organizers must secure permit, provide medical team, ambulances, security orders, insist governors. Police deny killing hunger protesters and demand Amnesty's apology. Government approves recruitment of 3,927 customs officers. We also see at the top of paper, travelers battle on ending price hikes ahead of Christmas. Petrol to sell 935 naira per litre from today, according to IPMAN. How terrorists not smuggled Libya gun truck into Zamfara, according to the federal government. Federal government's 50% transport reduction scheme may begin Tuesday, due to Christmas. Why flees after setting Ogun Cup ablaze during dispute? Wow. Tinubu repeating Buhari's borrowing mistakes, says Atiku, and that's all on the front page of the Punch. Let's go to the next paper.
Yeah. The Nigerian Tribune, or the Daily Independent, I guess, comes up next. It says here, 47.9 trillion naira 2025 budget, bold step with unrealistic assumptions, say experts. Say success depends on effective revenue generation, debt management, addressing inflation, FX volatility. Atiku says budget lacks fiscal discipline to address problems. Many people also agree with that. Stampedes, Lagos warns show promoters and others. Omokri tackles Obi over stampedes and deaths, and also Serap asks Akpabio and Abbas to cut 9.4 billion naira presidency budget for travels, meals, and 344 billion naira National Assembly budget. Food stampedes, results of pervasive hunger in the land, says the PDP. And we can also find stop politicizing stampedes at food distribution centers, federal government warns. After 5 years, federal government lifts ban on mining activities in Zamfara. Those are the major stories on the Daily Independent.
I'm thinking we should actually go into the papers, and then if we have more time, we can take another one. And I want us to start with that story that you took about Lagos wants, says stop politicizing stampedes at food distribution centers, federal government warns. Now, we started this and we talked about this earlier with our guest, where the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, had said that it's disingenuous for Nigerians to say that these stampedes are happening as a result of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's reforms and the policies that his administration has made. And I want to get your thoughts on that. Is the presidency really not to blame? And is there any angle to politicizing these stampedes?
Okay. Good morning once again. And it's good to actually look at the philosophy of the stampede. Perhaps that will give a clearer understanding of how we got here. Usually when things like this happen, the first port of call is actually the government, because people want to believe that maybe if government had done something, maybe this would not have happened. But beyond that, there are three critical areas that we need to look at. Number one is leadership. And when you point at the direction of leadership, you are indirectly saying, oh, what are we supposed to have done in the time past that we haven't done? Number one is the value of people's life. It's a cultural problem in Nigeria, and it means that we do not actually attach so much of a value to the life of an average Nigerian, and as a result of that, everything goes, number one. Number two is also our nature as a people, as Nigerians. I have been at a bus stop before, and I think an 18-seater bus came, and we were barely 6 that were there, and everybody was in an empty bus. Everybody was rushing inside just to get a seat. My friend Charles Ideho was saying it was yesterday that he saw a video of an airline and people were rushing inside, maybe because I've not taken plane before. I thought that thing they used to give you has a tally and a tag.
But sometimes they overbook. Sometimes airlines overbook.
But again, it talks about our nature as a people. Number three is the mental problem called poverty. The mental problem called poverty. And there are dimensions of poverty that we need to look at this morning. Number one dimension are those who don't have at all. Another dimension in philosophy is those who have everything they need and they still cut corners to get richer. And the third in the series are those people, because this issue is a bit of an emotional issue, you can't continue to delve into the nitty-gritty. If not, we'll ask questions as to the number of people that were there that day. We have, we've talked about not valuing people. You don't make necessary arrangement. You remember when this actor died, Pope Jr. died. And a lot of people were saying, we've been doing this for long. People just travel across the river without life jacket.
And even after his death.
Even after his death. So it's the same thing that has happened to now. This has been the way people have been distributing palliative. And people will always rush. Because we have a survivor spirit, because nobody died, everything continues the same way. So it's a whole lot of things. And the question I wanted to ask is the fact that everybody there that day may not necessarily need what will be given out at the end of the day. And that is the truth. Because you discover that freebies, when you get to the mall, tip is a global thing. But you discover that the attitude of the man who is to attend to you changes immediately you don't drop something. So our communal mindset is built around getting anything free. And as long as there's free something, people will want to just get there to get it done. And of course, the complexity of the economy is also something that people will need to talk about. It has happened before. Nigeria, this economic volatility happened in 1986. And it's the same way Nigerians responded to it then. It's the same way we are responding to it now. And you remember the advice people also got from the Senate president, the Nigerian Senate president, who say anywhere you can get food, just go there. Maybe Nigerians are now acting on the advice of their leader to go anywhere they can get food. So we are all guilty. In this circle, we are guilty because we have multidimensional prosperity and people live in multidimensional poverty. We are guilty because the basic good that we are supposed to do for the community, because everything seems to go in Nigeria, we do not take precautions as to how many people are we preparing for. We are guilty because we have a cultural mindset that anywhere there's a free thing, a free food, a free this thing, we want to get there even when we have. And mind you, because I've listened to some people say, oh, let's just share to community leaders. You remember what happened during COVID-19. And that's why I say we, including church leaders, community leaders, government released food across to the people. Community leaders didn't give it to estate owners, residents. Yeah. Church leaders hoarded them. So it's a community where people just takes advantage of their own national cake. And when you drive past, maybe you are not aware, when you drive past your street and you drive a reasonable, maybe a meaningful kind of car, do you know how every other person looks at you who cannot drive it? They think you have dipped your hand into government purse. And even the Olori and the organizers of the program, the people that went there, majority of them, and I'm saying it because I have interacted with people in 4 different sectors. Majority of people that went there that day went there because they were thinking that it's part of their own national cake and they must get there to take it. So everyone is guilty, and I don't want to hear that, oh, they should not point accusing finger at the federal government. We are all guilty. The policy of government was not well thought out. You cannot remove fuel subsidy and liberalize your forest market at the same time. And it led to complexity of Nigerians or Nigerian government not having a control of their economy. And most of the people that are experiencing this are experiencing it for the first time. I'm experiencing this for the first time. I only read that of 1986 Structural Adjustment Program, and I went back to history. I was not there. But a repeat is happening in our own very eye. Unfortunately, the most painful aspect of it is that when you have hard economy, hard situation like this, it's supposed to build strong men who will talk to the government, who will confront the government. Unfortunately, in our case now, we are building weak men who are running away from saying truth to power, everybody wants to just join APC so that they can get their own share of the national cake. And it's an unfortunate situation. I just hope we are going to get out of it.
Yeah, unfortunately, I mean, this is where we found ourselves, and you're very right, very correct. The reaction from Nigerians is pretty, disappointing. Next week, I'm not going to be shocked if we hear that more people are porting again to the APC, and that really is born out of the real reason many of these people get into politics. It's not to serve. It's not to improve on the lives of the Nigerian people. And that's the thing that I feel like we need to have a national conversation on as a people.
In fact,
what are we going to do next? Because we've realized, and we can basically see it every day, that these people that are getting into office are not there to to improve on the quality of life of the Nigerian people.
In fact, if you allow me to quickly make this point, going into APC is not a problem. Personally, when APC was formed, I have fantastic respect for APC because of the caliber of politicians and the sacrifice the sitting president was able to make that happen. For me, in politics, it's a great thing he has done. But when people point to APC in their drove and they are not working on making life better for the people, what do I mean? Have you seen the budget? At least have you read through the basic things? Ministry of Niger Delta had budgetary provision in the budget that was submitted to National Assembly. It's a ministry that has been scrapped. It means that shame on everyone that has run to APC that is unable to make life better for people. For example, there's nothing wrong if you move to APC, if you have a genuine intention to make things work. What is the essence of the crowd without a correct means of making life better?
Why can't you make things work within your party? With the political party that...
Of course, there are many reasons that anybody can allude to that. Of course, if you see that, you want to work with the government and you have a genuine idea, I don't have problem. But when you now move to APC and you move there because you are going there to eat your portion of national cake, in this budget, I was here, I think about a year now, and I was making the analysis of the most ridiculous things that come out in the budget. And I made mention of cutlery. Maybe you have forgotten. Do you know that there's still cutlery in this budget?
Yeah.
They have to...
Nothing has changed.
You see,
really.
it has cleared the fact that APC is not different from PDP. It has cleared the fact that we do copy and paste kind of budgeting. We just change figure and leave item. And you cannot begin... You see, the budget is the most important document of your nation. If anybody opens your budget, they can look, a philosopher like me, opens your budget. I can tell you where your nation will be in the next 10 years.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you open the budget. What is greeting you is shameful items that were in the budget last year. Even the last year budget that you were unable to execute 70%. Please, we have got to a point that people need to wake up, and especially people in government. We cannot continue to tell people who didn't die in peace. We cannot continue to wish them to rest in peace.
When you say people need to wake up, and the ones in government, you are painting the narrative that they may be asleep. They are not asleep. The Nigerian politician that has simply changed figures and left the same item there to create this new budget, he's not asleep. He knows. He's very much aware, and I don't like that we cut them any slack and make feel like we need to put them on their. They know what they are doing. The Senate president is aware that this budget and the budget items there, nobody's going to convince the average Nigerian that the National Assembly didn't go through that budget and see those things there and still approve it.
And one very important thing about budget, if you allow me to quickly make that point, is the fact that there are two ways to corruption. There's the legal and the illegal way to corruption, to taking money. The legal way of taking money is when the money you want to steal has a budgetary provision in your budget. For example, I have made provision for this phone in the budget, so I don't need to buy it. I just take out the money. That's illegal corruption. And once you see that your budget is moving, at the pace is moving now from 20 trillion to 40 trillion, it is usually not about project. It's about creating more room for people to engage in legal corruption. And this is some of the things that we have talked about in the past. Those who have the head to think, even when they get into government, I don't know what happens. Maybe we just want to get our own portion. This issue of national cake is our problem. We think we are too wealthy as a nation that we cannot go bankrupt. Is it until debt litter our streets?
We are greedy.
Greed has become our god and corruption our culture.
People who go into office know these things. I don't think that is anything new. It's why they even go into office in the first place. If we stripped Nigeria's political leadership of the many benefits that it currently has, you would see fewer people would run for office.
The most unfortunate part of it is that, there's this in marital philosophy. They say if couple live together for a long time, they begin to look like each other.
Yes.
Yep.
The same thing happens in leadership. When you work under some kind of leader for too long a time, you begin to behave like that leader. So Nigerians too now have begun to behave like their leaders. And corruption is everywhere. Somebody reported me day before yesterday. Was it day before yesterday? And they called me and was trying, do you know what the issue is? I manage a particular money. And one person sent me, she was to benefit from the money I manage, and sent me 5,000 recharge card. And immediately I sent her money back to her. I don't have anointing to be dragging my feet on what I don't want to do. Do you know the people were angry? Nigerians also prefer people who will take money from them to favor them.
Right.
So there's a communal capacity collapse in our system as a result of the fact that followership has begun to look like leadership. If you not kill corruption.
And it's not even just politics. It's even in other sectors.
That's what I'm saying.
You want to be able to get a contract, or you have to sort for them to push your documents
That's
ahead.
what I'm saying.
So I want you to give me. We see it everywhere, even in our industries as compared.
That's what I'm
see it
saying.
everywhere. So anyway,
right. Let's
move on.
about...
I want us to talk about this story, please.
Okay.
The Amnesty International report. I don't know if that's the story you wanted to talk about.
No, I was going to talk about Ipman, the petrol.
Okay, so if you can quickly touch on it, Ipman released Amnesty International released the report on the 28th of November, and in that report they talked about, they titled it Bloody August, Nigeria government's violent crackdown on end bad governance protesters. The police don't agree with this report.
Yes.
They don't believe that Nigerian police killed protesters.
Yeah, the police will not agree. You remember, even when EndSARS issue happened, and the governor of Lagos State came on air to admit the fact that a few numbers actually died, he came back to say, oh, no, nobody actually died. So I wasn't expecting that the government will accept. And it takes us back to where we're coming from, human lives. We must get to a point, 200 and something million? Are we too many? If we are too many, let them loan us to other, because Nigeria, our brain is one of the greatest resources that we can export. Let there be a government program that will export all of us to some other country if we cannot attach simple value to our life. And it's extremely painful when we continue, you know, I said it the other time, when people die and everybody just moves on as if, oh, nothing has happened. And we've talked about countries that will go the extra mile because of one citizen. We must, for us to continue to bear the name giant of Africa, the first thing we need to do is to ensure that the lives of our people really matter. So I do not expect that the police, you know, Amnesty has always been back and forth with the government. And in democracy, once you build a society where nobody is able to say anything that happens, then you have killed the people.
They've asked Amnesty International to, they've demanded apology. According to the front page of the Punch, it says police deny killing hunger protesters, demand Amnesty's apology.
Well, let's see how they are going to respond to it.
Yeah, we'll see. All right, petrol to sell 935 naira per litre from today, says Ipman. Dangote, of course, has dropped to 899, I believe, naira per litre. There's a bit of confusion as to what has, caused this, a change in price, and how, just like the exchange rate, can wake up tomorrow morning and in the next 2 days can decide that it's going to 1,005, and when it's bought, it goes back to 1,007. Just like that. Nothing really explaining what these, what has triggered these.
It's in a naira stability.
Well. Is this also surprising for you? Do you also see this as, something positive, as a result of,
extremely positive, because I was actually expecting that fuel is killing me, and I was expecting that I'm going to pay more during the Yuletide. Nigeria is very funny. One of the reasons why I do not celebrate, people practically beg me to celebrate anything, is because of the fact that every kind of celebration that's supposed to give you joy puts pressure on you. Yeah. I don't know why we want to celebrate Christmas and everything goes up. You get to the market. I went to the market for the first time in 10 years yesterday to buy pepper, and I was practically scared because I just had a rumple of money in my hand. I thought I would be able to get. When I got there,
do you like a dream?
It was a different grammar entirely. That I was like, somebody needs to help. So when we get to a season of celebration like this, transport fare goes up, price of fuel, everything goes up. But I am so happy that, okay, during Christmas, for the first time in many years, we are having it come down. But do not forget that before this government came on board, we were buying for less than 200 naira. Yep. It's just a reminder. And we must know what we are targeting. We are not targeting 500. We are targeting 200 naira. And yeah, that's what we are targeting. That's what Nigerians are targeting. At least we want to be able to breathe for once. So,
see, is this a realistic target?
See,
or is this just hopeful
thinking? I am
thinking?
expressing my expectation. I do not want anybody to go to the marketplace to celebrate because we are buying at 935. What I'm saying is that it's a positive move. I love what the government has been able to pull. And I'm hopeful that the turnaround maintenance for the second refinery in Port Harcourt, the one in Warri and the one up north, when everything begins to work, then we have the prices for that slashed down. Like I told you, the MKO philosophy the other time I came here, the MKO philosophy still remains valid to today about pump price. And what's the philosophy? It says that in a crude oil, we have about 14 items. It is the belief of MKO Abiola that those 14 other items should be able to pay for the price of petrol. So there's no argument. You have fuel, you have jet fuel, you have diesel, you have all manner of things that if all of these things come out from a barrel of crude oil, then they should be able to pay for the price of petrol. Until today, there's no philosophy in the downstream or upstream sector that has been able to counter that. So I believe that this good thing they've done, it is not yet Uhuru, it may be Kenyatta. That's the last
I see what you mean.
We are actually
that's a nice one.
We're still expecting 200 naira.
Oh, okay, well,
okay.
Yeah. I'm speaking for my community, so.
Honestly, I'm even expecting lower than 200, I hope. But it just feels like at this point that might be wishful thinking.
The Daily Independent, top left of the Daily Independent there says, I think we spoke about the budget already. It says after 5 years, federal government lifts ban on mining activities in Zamfara.
Okay, so there's been too much attention on petrol because we've always thought that, oh, petrol is the one that will give us everything we do need. But of course, you know the direction of the world at the moment, moving away from all of these things. So I think it's high time the Nigerian government also concentrated on other areas, other mineral resource that can actually end them foreign exchange. And I'm so aware and I'm so glad that there's an agreement signed with France, though there's been a bit of agitation, why France, owing to the fact that what France is doing to other members of ECOWAS. They believe that over the years, they've just been taking advantage of those Francophone countries that we should not actually be parling France. But like I said, the direction of your leader is the direction of your nation, and there's nothing anybody can do about that at this time. So I am happy that the federal government is trying to look away. And I also respect the Minister of, is it Solid Mineral?
Yeah,
Alaki.
Dr. Dele Alaki.
Yes, I believe that with him being there, he will be able to pull some of the strings that will earn Nigeria more money, since APC government is about more money.
So part of why this ban had happened in 2019, if you recall, they had seen links between banditry and illegal mining.
Yes,
so right now
it has not changed.
So that's what I wanted to ask.
Yes,
Do you think they think that there's been progress in these insecurity challenges?
It has not changed. Every aside from Boko Haramism, which has even adopted element of what's it called, kidnapping and all of that. All of that banditry that you see along that is directly connected to our mineral resources. They just want to take control of some of these sites and have more money. And what do they use this money for?
To buy more
one
arms.
of the pages of newspaper that said that the federal government actually caught a truck load of
ammunition
from Libya.
That's more, anyway, we'll keep talking more about this.
Yeah, I think along with, we need to go along with the Zamfara. There are two Zamfara stories. It is the lifting of the mining activities in Zamfara on the Daily Independent and on the Punch. Terrorist smuggling Libya gun truck into Zamfara.
Exactly, and we see that I mean that should be a top story.
Dotun Ojon.
Thank you so much for joining us this morning, Dotun Ojon.